What's going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at this case right here, which is the HYTE Y40. This, of course, is the follow-up to the very popular Y60. So let's go ahead and take a look. As we take a first look at the case here, as you can see, we have the white version. It's also going to come in red and black as well. Now, I'll go ahead and put the official dimensions right here on the screen so you can see how large this case is. Obviously, it's a lot smaller than the Y60 and has a more traditional look to it. It has a volume of 50 liters, which is kind of interesting because the Y60 was called the Y60 because it was 60 liters. This is 50 liters, but it's called the Y40. At the front of the case, we have a nice tempered glass panel, which allows you to fully see inside your system. Towards the bottom of the front of the case, you'll find buttons and connections. There are two USB 3.0 Type A ports, a single USB 3.2 Type C port, a large power button, and a combination 3.5mm audio jack. Moving up to the top of the case, you'll find a ventilated top panel with the same type of design language that we saw on the Y60. This top panel easily pops off if you pull on it from the back. The panel features a fine mesh built into it to keep things from getting inside your case. With the panel fully removed, we can see a cooling section that supports either two 140mm fans, three 120mm fans, or radiators up to 360mm. Looking at the main side panel, we have a nice tempered glass panel. You'll notice there are no screws or anything like that holding it into place. There's a small latch on the back of the case that you pull on and it will release the panel. The panel will sort of just sit there, which is nice as many panels just fall off and can easily break or scratch up your desk. The opposite side panel is all white and has the same type of ventilation that we saw on the top of the case. Going all the way to the bottom of the case, we have two large feet that will lift the case off the ground, as well as two removable filters. Finally, we come around to the back of the case. At the top, we have a pre-mounted 120mm exhaust fan. Then you have your motherboard mounts, and at the bottom is your power supply mount. The interesting thing about the motherboard mount is that it has 7 low-profile expansion slots. This is because HYTE has included a PCI Express 4.0 riser and wants you to install your graphics card vertically using the provided vertical slots. Since we have 4 vertical slots here, the case is going to support large graphics cards like the RTX 4090. Moving inside the case, we have a black interior, which is very similar to the Y60. HYTE has separated the case into 2 compartments with a full-length power supply cover separating these 2 compartments. As far as motherboard support goes, the Y40 will support mini ITX, micro ATX, and ATX motherboards. Towards the front of the case, you'll find a side mount that supports 2 120 or 140mm fans, as well as radiators up to 280mm. You can remove the front glass if you want to get better access to this side mount. At the rear of the case, we can spot that 120mm exhaust fan. This is not a PWM fan, it is an RPM fan that's going to run at 1300 RPM. As I mentioned, the case comes with a PCI Express 4.0 riser. The top section of the riser is pre-installed in the top expansion slot. The outer shell is white to match the case, which I really like and shows HYTE's attention to detail. HYTE has mounted the second half of the riser to the bottom of the case so you can install your graphics card in a vertical orientation. The bottom floor or power supply cover has some ventilation built into it, as well as 3 large cable routing holes. Again, we see the same design language that's on the top and side of the case. Removing the opposite side panel, we can see that this panel has the same type of fine mesh that we saw on the top panel. With the panel removed, we can get a better look at the design of the case and how HYTE has separated the 2 main compartments. The motherboard tray itself has plenty of tie-down points, and we can see both top and side cable routing holes. Mounted on the back of the motherboard tray is a removable storage tray that supports either a single 3.5-inch drive or 2 2.5-inch drives. The bottom compartment of the case is made to house your power supply, has your second 120mm fan pre-installed, and is where your front panel cables get routed. When it comes to testing, we test both temperatures and sound levels, so here's a full breakdown of the hardware in our test system. as we come to the end here, I think HYTE had a lot of shoes to fill from the Y60. I think for me, at least, that was my favorite case of 2022. And here in 2023, like I said, they have some big shoes to fill, I think. And I think they've done a really good job here with the Y40. Of course, the obvious change is that they removed that 45-degree angle panel on the case, which made the case smaller and gave it a more traditional sort of mid-towered look. Which I think a lot of people would like, because I think the Y60, it's an excellent case. Like I said, one of my favorites, but for a lot of people, it's just too big, right? It's the footprint's too big, and they want something a little bit smaller, especially for people doing more simple builds that just want to be able to show off their build. I think this case makes a lot more sense to them. And it is that show off build case, right? We have the 2 tempered glass panels there. Allows you to show off pretty much everything in your system, which is awesome. The case is very easy to build in as well. We really didn't run into any issues. I really like it how they sort of make you, put your graphics card in the vertical orientation, which just makes it look awesome. And so every Y40 build is going to essentially look very similar, which I definitely like. I like the design language, excellent paint job on these, and being able to get them in 3 different colors is really awesome there as well. I had no problem with building inside of here either. There's plenty of tie down points and you can route your cables very easily, but there are some downsides, and I think the biggest thing is the fans. So the fans are not PWM fans, they are RPM fans, which means they're always running at 1300 RPM, which during idle means that this is going to be a loud case. And if you look at our testing, I mean, this is one of the loudest cases that we've tested recently. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. And then the bottom section of this case, like the floor, it's not fully ventilated and it blocks a lot of airflow. So if you look at our thermal results, it's also not the best when it comes to that either. Of course, you can easily replace these fans. And I think if you were going to do a really nice build, I think that's the first thing you would do, would be replace the fans. But overall, I still really like the case, and it's a great follow-up to the Y60. Now, you can actually pick this case up right now on Amazon for $99.99, which is an excellent price considering when we actually first reviewed this case a couple months ago, it was $149.99. So for $99.99, it is a steal, and you should definitely go ahead and pick it up. Now, we will have links below where you can, of course, pick it up, and to our written review. So, guys, if you have any questions about the HYTE Y40, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up. We'll see you guys in the next video.